top 5 myths of the Crusades. Myth number 1. The Crusades against Muslims were called to convert them. False. Crusades against Muslims took place in primarily 3 theaters: the Holy Land, Spain, and later in Eastern and Central Europe against the Ottoman Turks. In all of these cases, the Christian armies had the primary aim of recovering previously Christian territory, or defending Christendom against further Mohammedan expansion. The Holy Land had been conquered by Muslims in the 7th century, and Spain had been taken by Mohammedan armies in the 8th century. Starting in the 11th century, popes began calling for crusades to recapture these regions. In the new Christian states established in the Holy Land and Spain after successful crusades, Muslims were usually allowed to remain if they so chose. If they paid the taxes required by their new Christian lords, they could practice their religion and maintain their communities, an arrangement not unlike that usually granted to Christian populations living under Muslim rule. For more on this topic, see Malcolm Barber's book, The Crusader States, and Joseph O'Callaghan's Reconquest and Crusade in Medieval Spain. Myth number 2. The Crusaders were usually second sons who were unable to inherit lands from their family, and were therefore eager to capture territory on foreign adventures. False. Evidence from medieval charters shows that many eldest sons or lords with plenty of lands of their own back home went on crusade. Indeed, crusading tended to be concentrated in families. For example, during the First Crusade, all of the sons of Eustace II of Boulogne, Baldwin, Godfrey, and Eustace III marched armies to the Holy Land. To learn more about this subject, see Jonathan Riley Smith's The First Crusaders, 1095 to 1131. Myth number 3. Crusades were all intended to recapture the holy city of Jerusalem. False. The First Crusade was called in 1095 to reclaim Jerusalem and the Holy Land from the Seljuk Turks, but after that, the institution of crusading was applied to a variety of theaters. Crusades were called against the Islamic powers of Spain, allowing the Christian kingdoms of Portugal, Leon, Castile, and Aragon to expand south into the region known to the Muslims as Al-Andalus. The Northern Crusades were a series of campaigns conducted mostly by German powers to conquer the Baltic for Christendom. At the start of the 13th century, Pope Innocent III launched the Albigensian Crusades in southern France to exterminate Catharism. Later, the popes would call crusades in Eastern and Central Europe to oppose the powerful Ottoman Empire. So as you can see, crusading took shape on virtually every frontier of Christendom, and at times even internally. Myth number 4. The religious motivation for crusading was insincere. Crusades were really about greed and power. False. It's difficult for modern people to understand the depth of medieval religious devotion, but the truth is that faith lay at the heart of the Crusades movement. Crusading was incredibly expensive and dangerous. As mentioned earlier, lords and knights who set out on crusades often had property and families in Europe, and the prospect of traveling a vast distance to wage war in a foreign country was daunting indeed. However, crusading was held up as the highest ideal for a Christian warrior in this era. To crusade was to bring aid to one's fellow Christians, to restore holy sites to Christian control, and ultimately, to please God. It was because of these pious impulses that the crusading movement was so popular. To learn more, you can turn to Thomas Madden's The New Concise History of the Crusades, as well as Jonathan Riley Smith's The First Crusaders, 1095 through 1131. Myth number 5. The Crusades failed. False. The fact that the Crusades didn't manage to permanently hold Jerusalem, and the final loss of the Holy Land in 1291, has caused some to view the whole enterprise as ultimately a failure. It's true that there were many crusades that resulted in military failure, but we shouldn't overlook the many successes of the Crusades as well. The Crusaders won numerous battles against their Mohammedan foes in the Holy Land, and conquered a great deal of territory. The states they established in Syria and Palestine endured for some 2 centuries, an impressive run indeed. No kingdom or empire lasts forever. For example, Saladin's dynasty, which arose almost a century after the establishment of the Kingdom of Jerusalem, was eliminated almost a half-century before the final Crusader holdings in Palestine were extinguished. Furthermore, the Crusades in the Holy Land represent only one portion of Crusades history. The Crusades in Spain resulted in the total and permanent subjugation of Islamic Spain to Christian powers. The Northern Crusades successfully incorporated the Baltic into Latin Christendom, and many of the later Crusades against the Ottomans, such as the victory at Vienna in 1683, resulted in Christian triumphs. Thanks for watching. Click the subscribe button below to subscribe to this channel. To support Real Crusades history, click on the link to our Patreon in the box below this video. Also, you will find a link to my novel, Why Does the Heathen Rage?, a tale of the Crusades set during the reign of King Baldwin II of Jerusalem. Check out Scott Amos's novel, To Shine with Honor, a story of the First Crusade. Also, check out Helena Schroeder's biographical novel of Balian of Ibelin, Envoy of Jerusalem. Please click on the link below to like our Facebook page as well. You can also join the Real Crusades History discussion group on Facebook. Thank you.